Democrat Sandra Kennedy was the leading vote getter in the race for 2 seats on the Arizona Corporation Commission. Incumbent Republican Justin Olson won the other seat. Sandra Kennedy, welcome to Sunday Square Off.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
You're making your return after 6 years?
After 6 years.
Your first term 6 years ago. The 5-member Corporation Commission sets the rates we all pay to our major power, natural gas, and water utilities. It regulates Arizona Public Service, a company that's been a lightning rod for controversy, as you well know. We'll talk about that in a minute. First, though, you are a lone Democrat now on a 5-member commission, 4 other Republicans. What can you realistically get done?
Well, I think working across the aisle will be a huge, if we're talking about mountains or molehills, it'll be a huge mountain that I will have to climb. But I believe that I can do it, and I think that there will be some give and take on both sides.
Do you plan to be kind of a watchdog yourself on the 4 Republicans on the commission?
Oh, absolutely. That is one of the things that I campaigned on, is stopping the corruption and the unjust and unjustified rate increases. And I believe that I am the consumer advocate that people have voted unanimously to send back to the commission.
When you ran in 2014, an unsuccessful campaign then, APS targeted you with millions, it's believed, in dark money to help other candidates. They stayed on the sidelines this time. Why do you think that happened?
Well, I'm not really sure. I'm wondering if they are taking a second thought about, not getting into the race. But I am actually glad that they did not. I think the people of the state are wanting change, and they are sick and tired of APS buying their elected officials.
Now let's talk about that change, because one of the big issues in the past election was Prop 127 would have required utilities to get 50% of their energy from renewable sources, and that would have had to happen over the next 12 years. Prop 127 went down to a crushing defeat. 7 of every 10 voters rejected it. What does that tell you about what voters want from renewables over the next several years?
I have heard the voters loudly and clearly. What I would like to do is, I know Mr. Tobin has his modernization plan.
Commissioner Andy Tobin?
Yes, he does. And as I have stated during the campaign, that I did not support it because I believe that it kicks the can down the road. What I'd like to do is bring stakeholders to the table, talk about how we can put a great plan together. And it may not work for some of the smaller companies, utility companies, but let's see what we can do when it comes to the large monopolies, APS, the TEPs, Unisource.
And you're talking about solar, getting more solar in the mix.
Yes, absolutely. It's been 17 years since the renewable energy standard has been even touched. There has been no updating to the standard, so it's time to do that, and it's time to do it at the commission level rather than an initiative.
California billionaire Tom Steyer spent millions on behalf of Prop 127. It was his idea. He also spent about $250,000 on your campaign and others. What do you think Tom Steyer expects from you as a corporation commissioner?
Well, I hope he doesn't expect anything from me. I am an independent voice, and I will continue to be that independent voice. I think that I will represent the ratepayers and the voters of this state. I think 80% of Arizonans say they want solar and they want renewable energy, and I think that is what I'm going to be working towards.
So you don't owe Tom Steyer anything in exchange for his donations?
Absolutely.
His support? Nothing. Okay. Let's talk about ethics. Big issue at the Corporation Commission over the last 5 years. Recent history of coziness, and we're seeing that now. Andy Tobin, Commissioner, exchanging text messages with APS that indicate a level of friendliness that might not be appropriate. Justin Olson, incumbent, just reelected, also getting information from APS before speaking to a Wall Street analyst. What is your personal code of ethics? Because it's not clear what the Corporation Commission does, but what is your personal code of ethics when it comes to contacts with any utility or utility employee who might have business before the Commission?
Well, I think the ex parte rule is very clear. I'm not sure why.
Well, and tell folks, what is the ex parte rule?
Well, you can talk to a utility company who is looking at coming to the commission for a rate increase or infrastructure repair or new infrastructure. But once that case has been filed, you cannot speak to that utility. So that is where the ex parte rule begins. After that point, once that case has been filed, you cannot talk to the utility at all.
And what about the case now before? There are folks who want to reopen APS's rate increase. Do you support that? How would you pursue that?
I absolutely support it. I have talked about the statute 40-252, which allows the commissioner to write a letter to the docket to reopen the case, and that's what I intend to do.
All right. Sandra Kennedy, Commissioner-elect Sandra Kennedy. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. And make sure you tell Mr. Hersom I heard his prediction, and I am so glad for it. Tell him thank you.
Okay, we'll do. That's Chris Hurston, one of our analysts.